I've had a couple of sit-downs with Usisi that I respect very much. Usisi Mandisa Mashiro. She used to be one of the leaders of the EFF. She's since left the EFF, but she, at some point, was in political advocacy and activism. She helped some political parties start, and she says she's a patriot, and she loves South Africa very much. Taxpayer. She says a school like the University of South Africa belongs to the people. It's a state-owned institution. And she accused the Unisa of a lot of things, which at the time I was like, hey, do you really want to say these things? She's like, no, I want to say them. She spoke about management. I think she alluded to corruption, mismanagement, I think nepotism. She spoke about plagiarism and many other things. Manje, you're here to be like, hey, Chief, there's no such thing.
No, thank you for having us. Look, I think we must be able to counter those distortions. Number one, I represent over 170,000 students as the president of Unisa, and I can tell you here without a shade of doubt that our students are hard workers. And for us, we were offended specifically on the basis that she gave an impression that Unisa was just a qualifications factory where there was no actual work being done by our students. We graduated last year over 40,000 students. Right, this speaks to the amount of hard work and dedication that the students put into their studies. But also, what was problematic with the statement is that it gives a wrong narrative outside. You must understand that those 40,000 students are going to go out into society to go and look for employment and other opportunities. And if there's a narrative of such nature which distorts the hard work of our students, it really creates their chances of employability slightly difficult. And already we've got an unemployment rate in South Africa, which is scary.
Yeah.
Now imagine when you have to deal with a qualification which is already being questioned and not by any other authority. I mean, we don't have a Council of Higher Education questioning our qualifications, but an individual who, but for some other reason, has got a political agenda against the university. And we were personally offended as students, and I speak here as a spokesperson for students, that we really do know that we put the hard work in, and we know that we are here at the University of South Africa in order to get our qualification certificates, in order to contribute back into society and help this nation. So we are all patriots at the end of the day. Ours is to ensure that our education is used to better society. And therefore, we think that those distortions do not really help the black child, but also create this ever problem that we have of graduate unemployment, which is ever rising in the country. So we wanted to take this opportunity to really clarify those distortions.
Sure.
They are untrue, unfounded. And if colleagues or comrades have got political agendas against the university, they must then use other methods, but they must not insult the hard work of students that they put into their studies. But also, you must look at the profile of Unisa students. These are predominantly black students coming from poor, impoverished backgrounds. In fact, many of us are at the University of South Africa because it was the most affordable university we could find at the time.
Yes.
And still is, by the way.
Yes, that is true.
So it also is testament to the fact that we are coming here to change our lives in order to change our situations back home. And thus far, we think that the university is doing well in terms of the kind of students that we have. Of course, we want to encourage the more quality of students. I mean, I think we need to attract the students in the maths and science fields so that we are able to, have a flagship program in the science and engineering sector. But I mean, you must also go and look at the College of Education from Unisa. It's the largest college probably in the southern hemisphere. I think we produce over 30% of the teachers in this country.
Jeez.
So it should tell you about the impact that Unisa has in society. And therefore, if there's one thing we must agree on is that Unisa is a national asset and it must be protected, but we must also protect its alumni. And I think to say that the over 1 million alumni did not work hard for their studies or create that impression, for us it was really a bitter pill to swallow. But also coming from a senior leader of society, I think they could have done better in terms of addressing matters with the university, but not attacking the students.
You started off by saying you represent over 170,000. I think that was a mistake, because I was looking at the research, and I think you also alluded before we started 370.
Oh, yes. No, you're right. It's 370,000.
Sure. No, I think you said 170.
No, you're right. It's 370,000 students
that you represent.
170,000, by the way, it's the students that are dependent on NSFAS.
Okay.
So I think maybe that's why I got the numbers mixed up.
No problem.
170,000 students are students that are currently benefiting from the NSFAS aid.
Sure.
But we've got over 370,000 students currently registered with the University of South Africa.
You know, when you go on Google, Unisa, it says on Google, it has over 400,000 students. So I guess it varies year on year. I thought it was actually the biggest university on the African continent. They've got another Nigerian university at number 1. Unisa comes second. This is on one website, by the way. And it says Unisa is the 24th biggest university in the world. A lot of the big ones are in India and more of those type of countries. It's fascinating what this institution is. It's fascinating what it's been. When you speak about the alumni that needs to be protected, you're including my mother. My mother's a Unisa graduate, which is why also I was like, hey, but Mandisa, you can't say such things. But I think it was right for her to raise it. Maybe not the platform, as you said, especially because some of those clips ended up trending. Nkosinathi, Mabilane, you're the SRC president at Unisa.
Yes.
So someone listening is like, no, man, they just sent this guy to go defend the university. If he's for the students, then he must be honest as well. There were accusations of plagiarism there. And then to what you're saying about the quality of education, do you feel from what you've seen in society, never mind Sis Mandis, do you feel that people respect the Unisa qualification, or is there something that we're missing as a society?
Yeah, no thanks, man. I think there is that misunderstanding. I think you get to appreciate what Unisa is once you are part of it. You know, us as students, we really truly appreciate what the university is and what it is about, you know. Of course, we were the only university during COVID that was able to carry on with its academic project, teaching and learning project, you know, because we were able to adapt to the changing environment of online, because the university had already adopted an agenda to go online. Hence, we are an ODEL institution, you know. So
ODEL?
Yes,
what's
open distance and e-learning institution.
Okay.
You know, so there were already systems in place to ensure that the university is able to transcend into the online space of learning. But also we are encouraged by the systems that they have been brought on. You know, we've got proctoring tools. What this means is that we've got invigilators. So if you were writing an exam at an exam hall where there was a physical person watching over you while you are writing, that system is still maintained. It's just that it's now in an instrument called invigilator system, and the proctoring, which can tell the sound, can also see you while you're writing these exams, you know.
While you're writing online?
While you're writing online.
It's monitoring you?
Yes, it's monitoring you. It's monitoring your movement, your sound, and everything like that. But also what is encouraging is that it's able to pick up and flag students who might be wanting to try something funny. Okay. And we've seen this in the cases that we have of disciplinary pendings, you know, disciplinary cases. So in majority, these are the cases of students who might have found to be plagiarizing. So it's not that the institution is not doing anything to address the matter of plagiarism. You know, in fact, for the mere fact that we are seeing numbers of students that are being flagged means that we've got a system that works.
That's picking up.
Yes, that's picking up.
Yeah.
And students know that once you're caught guilty for cheating or plagiarizing, that will result in your suspension within the university. Luckily, it's a suspension of 2 years. But we know that in other universities, you can get an expulsion from that, you know.
That's correct.
So at least the university still has the Ubuntu approach to it, to say that we will only suspend a student for 2 years and then they can then come back.
Yeah.
But we have seen that the system does work. Of course, we think that more needs to be done in ensuring that we really address some of these concerns that the students have, you know. And of course, it means that the university in itself must create systems of teaching and learning which are able to support our students, because maybe there's also pressure of students, because maybe when you plagiarize it's because you don't have enough time in between your assignments and the exams.
Yeah.
But also we know that we've got students who are also employed. So during the day, you'll find that some of our students are working in retail and in various other corporate companies and in government, and therefore they maybe not enough time to study. So how does the university come on board in ensuring that they're able to give maximum support to these students all around the clock? In fact, what we have been calling for as the SRC is that we need to probably return to weekend classes so that we're able to ensure that we support some of our students who might not have adequate time during the week to study, that they are able to then study on the weekends and come and participate in classes and lectures on the weekends, which was done previously. So what we are raising is not something new, but of course we think that to augment or to assist in the pressure that our students might have, these are the kind of some of the instruments that we must utilize as an institution to support the students.
No, thank you. I just want to emphasize what you were saying and help you out a bit more. The fact that you're picking up cases of plagiarism is a good sign that there's a system that picks it up. Because you can imagine there's probably plagiarism in other places that is not being picked up. So then it's like, but we've got no plagiarism. And you're like, maybe it's because you guys don't know how to pick it up. Number one. Number two, you guys are a big institution, which means by default, if there's ever a good thing, like the number of graduates that you mentioned, over 40,000 last year, it's going to be the biggest number everywhere. If there's going to be bad things like cheating, obviously it's going to be magnified because you guys are big. To assist you, I want to say this, there's plagiarism at all universities. Maybe for whatever reason, people decide to highlight you guys, or because your system works, would say in that country, crime is high. It's high because we're reporting it, Chief. It's not because you guys have the same amount of crime, but maybe you're not reporting it as a consideration. So no, thank you for that. Just to take a step back, who are you? Nkosinathi Mabilane, you're here, you're Unisa SRC president, but who are you? Where are you from? How did you decide who to say, I think I want to lead these students who I met?
No. Nkosinathi Mabilane is a young man from Mabilane/Cullinan.
Okay.
I grew up in between the two.
Cullinan is more farm.
Cullinan is more of a dorpia.
Okay.
More of a dorpi. Mabilane is more of a gas. You know, it's where we sharpened our you know. So that's why I am. I'm an LLB student for the University of South Africa.
Okay.
We joined the SRC, or student activism rather. It is really because of the you know, the university is such a commodity, you know, and I think when we arrived at the university, we felt that we needed to belong, but also there were challenges, and those challenges are the ones that actually brought us to where we are today. Financial exclusion, of course, and I remember after registration, I took a decision to go and join the EFF Student Command.
Okay.
Which had a gazebo outside of campus, and one of the issues that they were agitating for and advancing was access. So they've got a slogan called the Sizofuna Ngenkani.
Is this still a slogan now?
Yes. It's still,
of the EFF Student Command?
Still a slogan.
Sizofuna Ngenkani, Baba.
It's just transitioned now to the EFF Youth Command.
Okay.
But it resonated with us because I knew after registering that I did not have the 3,000 that was needed for me to activate my registration.
Yeah.
and therefore they offered an avenue to assist. But of course, then we then got into the space and developed brotherhood amongst comrades, and but also the bug of activism beat us there, because we then understood that we also were in a position where we can also help where we can. But also Unisa being a distance learning institution, and I was coming directly from high school, I needed a sense of campus feeling, and I think the only way you can get that campus feel was if you were belonging to a group of an organization.
Sure.
And that's what the political organization and student formations were for us, is that we're able to come to campus every day, interact with campus facilities like the libraries, but also develop a brotherhood amongst the comrades. And those who did not experience that, we really feel for them, because at Unisa you can come and enroll until your graduation day, you would not have made a friend. And we thought there was something wrong. And I think you are young. Essentially, you should be able to develop friendships around the space, but you should be able also to network.
Yes, that's correct.
There's a lot of social capital that we can get from universities, because of the different backgrounds of students that we interact with. And I saw that as an opportunity to really grow in that space, but also to develop as a human being, is that we needed to explore those spaces.
No, thank you. I sat with the EFF Member of Parliament now my daughter, Tambo.
Yes.
And I think he had a similar story in that, for many a black child, especially that come from some level of whether poverty or lack, you come from a space where, let's say, for example, you are studying at a no-fee school or a low-fee school, and you get to this mammoth institution of a university, and it's hostile. You're here to study, you got your matric results, but now you're being told you need these monies and things you don't have, things you've never seen. Some of the minimum requirements at some universities are monies you've never held in your hands. And that hostility also drove him to join the EFF Student Command, to say, look, we want to do something. So I appreciate you telling us that story. I'm fascinated by you raising this concept of distance learning, because that's how we've always known Unisa.
Yes.
And there are many people that would say whatever they want about Unisa, but some of the most celebrated leaders in business and society, they've got some qualification from Unisa when you actually look at the numbers.
Absolutely.
How do you overcome the social aspects outside of joining a political organization? Is that something that yourself, maybe your SRC team is looking into? I know we're online now, like WhatsApp groups, Facebook pages, but even physical, is that something you guys are looking to work on? I'm part of Unisa.
Yeah.
I'm based in Cape Town. I'm based in Durban. Can you guys organize as the SRC? It could even be something like a party, just so that we meet each other. You're like, hey, now say Unisa Ntona, me as well.
No, it's interesting you asked me that. In fact,
Sure.
Thank you for that question. Look, we have developed co-curricular programs for students. And as SRC, I think we were also the youngest SRC, so we could actually relate to the fact that students need a sense of belonging. And one of the co-curricular programs that we sought to finalize was the sports policy. This would see Unisa developing sports, right? But also having sports as one of its co-curricular programs for our students. We have identified that the profile of a Unisa student is no more the working class or the older citizens who are enrolling at Unisa alone. We are actually having younger and younger students directly from matric coming into Unisa who still have the energy and want to be energetic.
Sure.
And some of these students are coming with various talents, that can be utilized by the university, and we're not taking charge of that, So the sports for us is one of those co-curricular programs that will see to bring students on campuses across the 8 regions. In fact, we argue with the university management that if we were to create our own league, because Unisa has 8 regions, if we were to create our own league, we'd be able to compete amongst ourselves.
Sure.
And we can have our own, culture. So we are quite, it's part of our passion project, in fact, to say that we must develop sports either to go and expose our talents internationally and nationally, but also even amongst Unisans themselves.
Yes.
One of the that's what I'm saying, that one of the programs is that we should be able to create mini leagues internally so that we can compete as different regions.
Yeah.
But we also were launching a book club the previous week.
Okay.
This is also one of our co-curricular programs that we want to, utilize. We have recognized that we probably have the largest library in the country, and therefore, how do we interact with the library students?
Yeah.
And how many of our students, the 300,000 plus of them, actually know about this library? Are they able to interact with their books, And we've got the regional libraries as well. So what we sought to do even with this book club is that in each and every region there should be conveners so that they are able to create groups where students weekly or monthly can come together, read a book, write articles, publish. And of course, we've spoken with different colleges within the university to say, can you assist our students in publishing? Because we also want to develop students academically, and therefore publishing is one of those spaces in which we can exploit, So as the SRC, we are really passionate in trying to resolve the question of this new demographic of students that are coming in. And for us is to have such programs, like I think you mentioned something like a bash or something like that.
Sure.
We are still lobbying the university on that one.
But it's a good way to meet other young people.
Yes,
and to network,
and to network, but also to expose our students to the facilities of the university. We probably have the best architectural building in Mabilane in Pretoria.
That beautiful ship that you see from the highway.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, and how many of our students actually interact with it, and it's programs internally, and we should be able to bring in students to come in and interact with it. We've got the Tabombeki library there, which has got his signed copies of books, gifts that he used to receive when he was traveling from different countries, as a president.
He's gifted them to the library.
He's gifted them to the library.
Okay.
So those are things that students can come and interact with, and we feel like these co-curricular programs that we have put to the university should be able to address some of these challenges of having more of our students on campus, because you really can't stifle a young person at that freedom of expression.
Yes.
And also we understand that studying at home might not be enough for our students, but also there are many other circumstances at home that might prevent even maximum academic excellence when you're studying at home, because it's either it's too noisy or you've got too many unemployed uncles that are living with you there. So those are the challenges
and boredom, Jay, just being by yourself as well.
You understand?
Yeah.
So we need to create an environment where our students are able to interact amongst each other, number one, but also interact with the university and the university's academics.
Yeah.
In COVID, the university had said employees must go and work at home. One of the first things we fought for when we came into the SRC was that they must return back to campus. Because we want to interact with them,
Sure.
So gone are those days where I go into an office and I don't find an academic.
Yeah.
So for whatever module or course I'm doing, the academic is always on campus, So students must be able to know that. Come on campus, come and interact with your lecturers. They are available. I mean, these are people who are employed to be in the service of students,
Yeah.
Students are the main stakeholders of the university.
You speak about 8 regions. Is that over provinces? Or are there certain provinces where there aren't Unisa campuses or spaces?
8 regions it's in the campuses. It's in the provinces. I mean.
Okay.
So each and every province you'd find the Unisa.
Which province did you guys leave out? Because Pela, we've got 9 provinces, Baba.
No. Every province is there. It's just that Northwest, Northern Cape.
Yes.
Is what we call the Midlands.
That's one region.
Midlands region, yes.
Okay.
Yes. So they they've got one region.
Okay.
And then
Because the Northern Cape has got a small population, so I think I understand.
we've got two campuses
Okay.
in the Northern Cape, in Kimberley and in what is this? Is Kuruman or something?
Okay.
Might be getting it wrong.
Okay.
And then in Northwest, we've got one in Rustenburg and in Poch.
Okay. Also, the regions is not necessarily campuses. There are campuses everywhere.
Yes.
You guys have just subdivided South Africa into 8 regions instead of 9 provinces.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
So you'd find like Gauteng as a region. There's the Sunnyside campus, there's the Johannesburg campus,
Okay.
the Kuruleni campus, and the Florida campus, which is our science campus.
Okay.
And then you go to KZN. I think there we've got over 5 campuses.
Okay.
Not 5, not over 5 campuses.
Okay.
But the main one being the Durban campus, and we've got the PMB, Newcastle, Richards Bay.
Newcastle, that's where I'm from. That's what's up.
Yeah, we've got a campus there.
Sure. And you encourage students to visit the campuses.
Yes.
Go see what's there, go see what's going on, meet the academics.
Absolutely.
Don't just do distance learning and feel like you're a satellite on your own somewhere.
Absolutely. No. We encourage students to interact with the campuses.
Sure.
Interact with the academics on campuses so that also you are better serviced when you go to campus.
Yeah.
You are able to receive what you may need. Of course, we understand that we are at distance learning. So those who might want to engage with the university online, there are platforms, of course, that are created for that. But we as an SRC, we are really encouraged when the campuses are full and students are on campus.
Okay. The Thabo Mbeki Library sounds very interesting. You keep speaking about students. Tina, that don't study at Unisa, we are allowed to see that beautiful building in Pretoria. We are allowed to access the library and see. I mean, it's a part of our history. Our ex-president's memorabilia is there.
No, absolutely. You did say when we were starting that Unisa belongs to all of us. So I think it is open, it is open to the public to come and engage with it. The university, even our library, we pride ourselves in making it accessible even to the nearby communities.
Okay.
We're able to engage with our libraries. So no, you are welcome at all times to come.
No, thank you.
And come and see the memorabilia there.
I know one of the things you've spoken about on platforms, the Unisa, I don't know if it was ever put under administration, but those were one of the things that were almost linked to what Usisi Mandisa was raising.
Yes.
Do you know what was the issue there? Is it a matter of mismanagement and corruption? Of which, if it's true, by the way, we've heard stories about Fort Hare and other campuses with these issues. And that's not necessarily to say the institution is bad. No. It's to say there are a few individuals who might be doing something. Is there something similar at Unisa? What would cause Unisa to go under administration or potentially?
Look, I think what brought that was there was a so-called report of the assessor.
Okay.
Right. So that report's recommendation essentially was saying that the university must go under administration. But look, we as the SRC, we had released a statement at the time to actually move away from that notion that the university must be put under administration, because we essentially don't agree that you must put the university under administration. Number one is that we've got no history of putting any university under administration and that university coming back to flourish.
Yeah.
In fact, the universities you have mentioned that have been put under administration till today are still struggling to come back, and flourish. And we thought that it was the move by the then minister was something that we could not really understand.
Minister of Higher Education.
The Minister of Higher Education.
Dr. Blade Nzimande.
Yes. We think really it was a sinister move from him. But also that the very same report was taken into court. In fact, the court had found that the minister acted improper when he put us under administration, because there was a court saying that there was an order saying that he cannot take a decision on the matter whilst it's still being heard in the courts.
Okay.
But I will also want to refer you to the finances of the university, because when I hear mismanagement, I want to link it also with the finances.
Sure.
The university currently is at over 20 billion in reserves. Now, this is, I don't know, I'm not an accountant, but this should give me an indication that the university is healthy.
There's money.
The university is healthy, there's money.
Sure.
That's why when we also are raising issues of student debt, we are saying to them that, but here is money, and therefore it should be able to be used to accommodate students. But look, we truly did not agree with that decision of the
But
minister.
why? What was the report saying that would make someone say, "Look, let's go under administration"? What was the issue?
The report read like a gossip column.
Okay.
If I were to be honest with you, it
Yeah.
read like a gossip column. No facts were stated. Just people who were called in and gossiping about each other.
Okay.
With the university as big as ours, of course, you'd have people who don't like each other.
Sure.
Now, if I go on a platform and go and speak bad about you, it's
Yeah.
not necessarily true. So it read like a gossip column.
Yeah.
When no facts were stated, no facts were provided on many other issues.
Yeah.
And that's why we really dismissed that report as a SRC to say, but this thing is not even well written, and it was written by an academic.
Yeah.
But this individual who wrote it really was in the higher education space. He's known as a guy who just goes around putting universities under administration, and that's why we had a problem with it. Is that it was poorly written.
Sure.
It was there was no thorough investigation done. So it was just a speculative report, and they used the speculative report to then put the university under administration. Not just any university, like you said.
Yeah.
South Africa's pride and treasure. This is the University of South Africa, the only university that carries the country's name with it.
Yes.
And you go on and you take a decision overnight to put it under administration, not even considering the 370,000 students, and you just merely just put it under. And
Sure.
for us, it created a lot of panic, of course, because what does it mean for me as a student when the qualification I hold is from a university which is put under administration,
Yeah.
And it goes back to what we had raised earlier on to say that the chances of employability now, what are my chances as a Unisa student once my university is put under administration? That's why we really fight so hard for these qualifications of ours. That's why we want to protect them with everything. And if there's any campaign to really discredit those, for us, it's really a position that is anti-students. But of course, the administration process was not even backed by any facts or science.
Sure. The gossip aspect did it have anything to do with people taking money, or was it about other things?
It was about many other things. It was about
Okay.
many other things. There were maybe it was skyrocketing of it was a flouting of procurement processes and so forth.
Okay.
It had to do with similar things. But like I said to you, till today, no one has put the facts on the table so that proper discipline should be taken to those who were found to be on the wrong side of the law.
Instead of putting the whole university under administration.
Under the administration, and we felt like no, it's not how you deal with issues. In
Sure.
fact, there are more constructive ways
Yeah.
that we can have in order to address challenges. I don't think there was anyone at the time who was saying that there are no challenges at the university. I think we were all aware that there were challenges. We're just transitioning to a new vice chancellor, Professor Puleng, who was the first black female VC of the university, who still is now. So there was a lot of course, contestation to a leadership, of course, and we were not oblivious to those things.
The contestation didn't have to do with her being a black female.
Well,
it was other things.
Look, my brother, women in this country are subjected to all mannerisms of things.
Yes.
And in our analysis, it's partly because of that, is that this is a black woman, and I think we've got a society which does not respect black women. And if you're going to look at what she has done since she has become the vice chancellor of the university, we've even gone up in rankings. We are now sitting in 7th. We're quite optimistic that in the next year or two we might be in the top 5 in the country. And you had colleagues who were saying, no, this is not the right individual for the university, which we felt that it is just toxic masculinity, people who just don't want to be led by women, But
we saw the ex-VC of UCT as well also being attacked.
She suffered the same fate, right? That's the problem. And I think we tend to forget that we are all raised by black, strong women.
Correct. Including white people, by the way.
Absolutely.
The people that are babysitting white children is still our black mothers.
It's our black mothers, So I don't know who gave us the illusion that we can't trust them with mega institutions like these ones to run. And look, thus far we've seen that they've done a great job. I think people must just go and look at the records, and they'll see that the current VC of the University of South Africa is really doing a great job. But also at student relationship and management relationship level, I think we have, since I was president of the SRC, we have not even had a single protest, because there's a stance that management has taken. I think they are proactive in some of the issues.
Okay.
But also there is a room of engagement. So
they listen.
They listen. This is management that
they don't force you to go and get in the streets.
Absolutely.
They're like, no, please come talk to us.
Absolutely, And I think we had not seen this in a very long time in the university, where management is able to engage us and able to listen to what we're saying, and don't easily just dismiss us, And that has really assisted in us in achieving a lot of things that we have tried to achieve. And that's what I'm saying. There are even policies that we're able to develop in ensuring that we're able to improve the lives of students. And this is because there's a management that listens.
20 billion rand, you're speaking about protesting now, 20 billion rand in reserves. You've got a very soft spot for student debt.
Yes.
I don't know if there's anything you want to cover on student debt and just the National Student Financial Aid Scheme, NSFAS. Does Unisa also have the same problems? You spoke about 170,000 students that are on NSFAS. But I know you've got a sensitive spot for student debt. I don't know if you want to engage us on that.
Look, maybe let me touch the NSFAS first. Look, on NSFAS, one of our challenges we have is that almost 50% of our students are reliant on NSFAS.
At Unisa?
Yes, at Unisa, And that is it's a large number of students. But NSFAS has deliberately over the years mistreated Unisa students, incidental allowance. This is a monthly allowance that the students get, from NSFAS. Unisa students receives less than the 350 that Ramaphosa provides for the unemployed people. Now you've got qualifying students in universities who are getting 313 as an incidental allowance. And we view this as a SRC as an extremely unfair, but also irrational. We can't comprehend as to why would a student who has done well in a matric basic education level come into a university and still be treated lesser. I mean, if me as an unemployed a young person with no university to go to, with no job, and I can merely just sit at home and receive 350.
Sure, 370 now.
370. It's even more, So they get more. You get more for sitting at home than coming to school, because
what is their motivation? Do you know?
Is that the university is a distance learning institution, and
therefore you deserve less.
Therefore you deserve less. Therefore you've got no necessity for more. And we argue that, but if I belong to NSFAS, surely that's number one indication that I can't afford. I can't afford. I come from a poor background.
Yes.
And also you'd understand that when you are a student and studying, let's say I'm studying from home and I'm unemployed, I must eat in the morning. I must have lunch. I must be able to have sanitary towels.
Yes.
I must be able to have toiletries. They don't have these things in consideration, They just think that they just see us as objects that don't have these needs. And if you are going to perform academically, I argue that you must have a balanced diet.
That is true.
You must be able to have breakfast in the morning.
Otherwise, you think with your stomach in the exams, Baba.
Absolutely,
You should be thinking with your brain.
You can't concentrate.
Sure.
You must have a snack here and there while you are studying, and you're denying these students this thing. Therefore, putting our students a little bit at a disadvantage already, because now it means our students, even if they're at home, they are studying on an empty stomach. And because by virtue of that you receive this 313, you can qualify for the 370 of Ramaphosa. So it truly disadvantages our students, and we've got a bone to pick as the SRC with NSFAS in particular with regards to this matter, and we think that more can be done to really support students, and we have stated that look, we are having a changing demographics. Our students are younger and younger.
Yes.
Right? These are not students who are looking to go straight into employment. These are students who really would like to focus and study
full time.
And by virtue of them being beneficiaries of NSFAS, we should be able to understand that their social circumstances do require a little bit more support.
Sure.
You know, so those are the things that we really want to address. That NSFAS should play a more role, and I think national government should also look into this matter, because we are told that it's a policy matter on distance learning. But I think this policy was drafted when people who were at distance learning were also cops and nurses and so forth.
People that were already in employment. And studying part-time.
Absolutely. So we think they should revisit that. But also, it is, NSFAS is such the institution itself, the administration is poor.
Yeah.
Like I said, with those numbers that we have, a student that comes to a campus, any campus of the University of South Africa, to access NSFAS, they will not be in luck, because NSFAS is only located in Cape Town. So it means that if I've got a challenge with NSFAS, when I get to campus, they can try and call them for me. But when they call, we all go on the same line where you are holding. We've got cases where students are holding for over 2 hours just to reach someone at the end of the line. If you send emails don't go through. And we can confront NSFAS because we can't see them. They're in Cape Town. And we don't understand as to why aren't they decentralized? I mean, this is an institution which really supports so many black poor students
across the entire country. They should have branches in all the regions.
Yes, in fact, they should have branches in each and every university.
That's correct.
In this country. But it's not the case. Universities have tried to augment with having student funding officials.
Sure.
But if a student funding official does not have the NSFAS system or the NSFAS system virtual, the portal and stuff like that, they can't really assist me. Right? It needs an employee from NSFAS to assist the student with processing of allowances and so forth, or even finalization of registration, because we've even had situations where many of our students would have to wait until, so you'd register, let's say on the 4th of January, but your finalization will only come at the end of February, because we are waiting for NSFAS to send the approved and final list of students that must be funded for a particular year. And it is really challenging for us. It delays progress, because it means a student starts the academic project later than everyone else.
Yes.
Because the academic project has started in February.
Sure.
You are only finalized in the end of February. Assignment 1 is due in the next week of March. It really puts a student at the back foot. But of course, you can also see this in the numbers, because the large number of our students that are dropping out on the basis that they are struggling academically are students who are dependent on NSFAS, because they receive their study material and they get approved for registration late.
Yeah.
And therefore they are constantly at the back foot, right? It disadvantages them. And of course, what does it mean when a student is disadvantaged? They can't properly focus, and therefore once you perform badly in the NSFAS, they revoke that funding, sending those students back at home. So we think the system is not really assisting the students. It is not considering the nature of students that we have in the higher education space.
Do you think this thing is done intentionally? I know it's a dangerous question, because I'm almost asking you to criticize government.
No. I think, look, government is aware of these challenges.
But I'm speaking more about the office being only in Cape Town and people having to struggle, waiting, emails not going through. Do you think this is done on purpose? I mean, you've got a Ministry of Higher Education. I'm sure they're aware of this, because students make noise, Baba.
No, they're definitely aware of this. I mean, what we are raising here is nothing new. students even before us have been raising this matter of NSFAS being decentralized, because there is no logic as to why is NSFAS in Cape Town. Even when it's in
Why
Cape
in
Town,
Cape
it's
Town?
far from universities there. By the way, it's
But
still, it's
also, why
the-
Cape Town? The biggest populations we've got are Gauteng and
Gauteng.
KZN.
Yes. It really does not make sense as to why you'd want to place that institution far from its main clients and,
Yes.
and stakeholders. And we maybe must criticize government. We must maybe criticize the minister in this regard. To say, but why aren't the steps being taken? In order to address these challenges. It really. And what it's going to take is them cancelling the lease. It's not like they own the building in Cape Town. They must just cancel the lease there and come and get a building in Gauteng somewhere, and therefore they will be able to operate. But also, we know that universities have got space, right? Sometimes
Yes.
you don't even need to dismantle the whole thing,
Yes.
but maybe have 2 or 4 of your officials in different universities.
Where there's already space
Where
that's
there's
already paid for.
Space is paid for.
That's why I'm wondering
I'm sure
if
any
it's not-
university would gladly like to host NSFAS in their campus. Because once you can limit the NSFAS challenges that we have. Really, many of our students would not really have many problems in the university, because our main problems are all from the NSFAS and its systems.
Yeah.
Sometimes really it is disheartening to see the amount of students that even give up because of how the system is so anti them. It's like it's designed to not even accommodate them. The portal itself, it's not easy user friendly. If you want to apply for NSFAS, it's a challenge.
Sure.
Because it's not user friendly. It is not understanding of the digital divide that exists, because not many of our students are coming from homes where there was a computer or a
Yes.
laptop. Now, if a student must supply documents online and so forth, and attach this and attach that, some of these students are not conscious to those realities, and therefore we think that NSFAS is anti the poor in that regard, and they should do more to really address some of these challenges.
You spoke about students that don't do well and then end up giving up. What's the solution? So on the one hand, the argument is we can't keep paying for your education if you're not passing. But on the other hand, but if you don't pay for my education, yes, I've failed. In life, people fail for whatever reason. I lost a loved one. I was maybe in an accident, whatever the case may be. I struggled, but I need to come back and I need to go again. What is the solution in that regard, so that people don't abuse the system and just go to school for free, get money and fail, and they're like, NSFAS will keep paying, it's fine.
Yeah. No. The responsibility is also on the universities.
Yeah.
Because these are essentially the university students. And therefore, the universities got a responsibility on those students. And therefore, there must be measures in place in order to maybe emphasize on the support, in terms of teaching and learning and so forth, the tuition support, and how do we support a student wholeheartedly, from the psycho aspect of it, but also to the changing environment in which a student might have come into. We raised an argument with the university that we can see the support which is given to our students in the correctional facilities.
Yes.
We'd like to see the same energy being put on students.
Yes.
Because the university visits correctional services to go and give support to students who are incarcerated. They should do the same with these NSFAS students. If a student is a beneficiary of NSFAS, the university should be able to have workshops which speaks to the problem modules. So these high-risk modules, we call them high-risk modules. How does the university intervene? Which means have more classes for those students, have interactive sessions, physically, and have them online, so that you are able to address some of these challenges that the NSFAS students might have had. But also, these are students who are coming into an environment that they are not particularly used to.
Yes.
Especially in an ODL situation, it's even tricky because these students don't really see their lectures.
It's the first time in their life they don't have a teacher.
Yes,
That's literally there to shout at them. Hey,
Shout at
Nati,
them.
stop it, sit down.
Absolutely, so it requires a lot of discipline from students, but we think that universities, and the university in particular, must be able to go into these spaces and go to our students where they are.
Sure.
We've got these 8 regions. They must go to them and address them, but also a particular focus must be given to these first years, given the fact that they are coming into a totally new system they've never seen before, and these are students who have had public service education all of their lives, and therefore you come into a space where there's no teacher, there's no lecture. How does the university come on board? And we think that have these workshops, have these weekly classes, pay particular focus to the high risk modules.
They make you president, not of the SRC, of the government. How do you solve the fees problem? We've had fees must fall movements in the past. We've got universities. Look, Unisa is just one of them. All these other universities have got tens, if not hundreds of billions in reserves.
Yeah.
How would you solve the fees issue? So outside of, let's say, decentralization and making sure that the portal is more user-friendly, what do you think should happen?
No, thank you, man. I think the EFF answers this question very recently in their student debt bill. Now, what this bill seeks to achieve is that you create a student debt bill fund where students will be able to write to this fund and request that their debt be scrapped. The student debt in universities is huge. I think in the last report, it was amounting up to 6.5 billion in student debt across all universities. The University of South Africa, we are just over 1 billion in student debt, and these are students that can't. These are students that can't graduate, can't receive their certificates, that can't receive their completion letters.
Sorry, Unisa also doesn't issue those things unless your monies have been paid up.
Yes. You need to. You can't graduate unless you have.
Do you think that's fair between the university and the student, because it's a finance thing with government? Personally, as an SRC president,
so so majority of these students would also be students that are self-paying.
okay,
right? So these would be students who are self-paying, because ordinarily a student who's on NSFAS should be able to finish their studies without hassle.
Okay, and get those documents
and graduate.
And then the university fights with NSFAS.
Yes.
Or the problem is the people that pay themselves.
The people that pay for themselves would be the challenge, because you accumulated this high exorbitant tuition fees over the years, because there are some years you can't even afford to register, and of course the SRC intervenes to say students that can't register, the university must create so there's what we call an acknowledgement of debt form, where students are able to sign this and they're able to register. But what that means is that you accumulate this debt. It
doesn't disappear.
And by the time you have to graduate, you have now this enormous debt, which sets you really back, because now it means when you're going to start using this qualification that you have gotten from the university, you've got this amount of debt that is just really setting you back.
Sure, strangling your neck as you start working.
Essentially disadvantaging you, because it means that when you essentially must start your life as a young person, you're already starting on a back foot, because you've got a debt that you must carry. And it really speaks to the development of our people, because it means that majority of us will finish university with this debt, and will not really be able to start building our lives materially, because we would have accumulated so much debt in our education, in our tertiary years.
Sure.
And therefore this student debt bill, which is open now, I think for comments, members of the public, I think, are encouraged to go and comment on that bill. I think it's a progressive move, because for the first time we've got a way in which we can address this particular matter.
This is to scrap historic debt.
Of students across all universities. I think the bill has been gazetted for comments.
You said 6.5 billion.
Yeah, it's like 16.
16.5
It's
billion.
about 16.5 billion is in historical debt
Okay.
across the universities. So what this bill really seeks to do is to address this particular matter that we are raising of student debt.
Yeah.
But of course, we also encourage that the public, the private sector
Yeah.
must really play a role, in ensuring that we're able to have these numbers. We through the SRC campaign, we've got an SRC campaign called the Student Debt Campaign, where we are raising funds essentially to try and assist students that have completed but are stuck in the system because they can't graduate because of the student debt. These are also returning students. So what also this means is that you'd have a Penwell, for example, who would study with us last year. But because so last year you studied with us, you don't pay your fees for last year. You want to register this year. It becomes difficult because now your fees are doubled.
Sure.
Because it's last year's tuition fees and this year's registration fee. It creates an enormous tuition registration figure that it makes it essentially difficult for you to study. So what we seek to achieve is that students who really can't return to the system, we must be able to assist them, especially deserving students.
Sure.
You'd have a student who's really doing well academically, but on the basis,
the money is not there.
But the money is not there. And how do we then come forward to assist? So this is what this campaign of student debt, which the SRC has been running, will also seek to achieve. Is in order to achieve is to ensure that we're able to assist deserving students, but also students who have graduated but can't exit the system. So they can't get their completion letters, can't get their certificates.
Yeah.
Is to also assist them also so that they can go and also use these certificates to go and better their lives, but also the lives of society in general.
You're speaking about historic debt. I'm asking moving forward. So we scrap the debt. How do we solve the fees issue moving forward for our children, for example? Are they also going to be applying to NSFAS? Are they going to be paying out of pocket? Are we hoping to be rich? Will we have nationalized the resources? What's the plan?
In fact, that's the plan. I think we must nationalize the resources, because how do you fund free education?
Do you believe in free education?
No, I believe in free education. And
everyone should be able to study at tertiary level, whatever they qualify for free.
Every deserving student out there should be able to qualify to study at any tertiary university for free. But also we believe that this is only to the benefit of the country. And if we are from a mineral-rich country,
yes,
it really makes no sense as to why people should be in debt, in paying tuition fees. I mean, look at the missing middle. Essentially, these are people who are not too poor so they are too poor to.
That was me at university. My mother was a school teacher.
Yeah.
She was raising 3 kids, so her income didn't qualify for aid, but she couldn't afford.
So you're too poor to qualify for. You're too rich to qualify for NSFAS.
Yes. But you're too poor to afford the school fees.
You are too poor to afford the school fees, essentially, And this is. I mean, I don't think we should be in a country as rich as ours, where it's even a debate, the matter of free education. We should be able to nationalize our mineral resources in order to fund this qualification.
You speak about mining in particular.
Yes. Mining,
so why not
just
tax all mines at a higher rate and let all that money pay for universities?
I think you're providing another solution to the matter. I don't think there is. I don't think we should close off the ideas on how to do it. Yeah. How do we get there?
So you want to increase the VAT?
No, you said we must tax the rich, right? So let's tax the rich, let's tax the businesses.
Okay.
Leave the poor out of it, but let's assist in the education sector, because essentially this is where we should be able to also to create jobs from, because a university really is a factory that's going to produce your entrepreneurs, is going to produce our doctors, our engineers, and therefore, how do we run an economy when many of our people are still outside of that system?
Sure.
But also, even with the access part of it, I mean, you must then go and look at how many matriculants we had that passed the grade 12s recently. with bachelors. So these are students who could qualify for higher education.
Yes.
And go and look at the number of spaces that were available for them in universities.
I saw those numbers. It was crazy.
It's crazy numbers, you understand, because it's almost half of those matriculants will not find spaces in university.
Sure.
You know, and it speaks to access and how do we ensure that we've got more universities, but also we've got a system where all students who are deserving are able to enter that system, you know.
Yeah.
Because at the current format, what it means that those who are able to find placements are those who essentially are able to pay for themselves. So those who don't have the resources essentially are now stuck at home because, number one, there's no space at the university. So you might even qualify for NSFAS.
And to study, but there's no space.
But there's no space. You understand? So those are the things that we must try and look at in addressing also these issues of access, you know.
You spoke about we've got graduates that are unemployed. But in the same breath, you said we have to invest in students because they're going to add value to the country. Do you believe there are qualifications that are useless? Do you believe there are qualifications that people can go and study, but they're not going to add real value? And could we argue that NSFAS should only focus on certain qualifications that almost have proven vacancies and space in the economy?
Look, for me, I don't think there's any education which is useless. For me, it's how you use the education you have. You know, education for me, and even the university space, is a space, it really broadens your mind. It broadens your scope of thinking. I don't think you go into a university to study, let's say you study teaching, and you'll go out of the university as just a teacher. I think there are so many other skills that you might have learned. In fact, I know that with Unisa, there's an entrepreneurship module, which is infused in all of these qualifications, you know, because it is in the understanding that we don't only need these standard professions, but of course there's a need for entrepreneurship in the country because those essentially are the job creators. So no education is useless. We must encourage people to study. I think once you are studying and you are reading books, that opens you to a whole new world.
Yes.
And therefore, it must be encouraged.
Why do you think we have unemployed graduates? What's the problem? I've got a qualification. I've broadened my mind. I studied something. Unati said no education is useless. But why am I unemployed? Why have I not started a business? Why am I sitting at home, in your opinion?
The environment. I think the environment does not allow for growth, does not allow for young people to flourish. For a young person to start a business, number one, you need funding.
Okay.
And you might have seen in the NYDA interviews the kind of people who want to go and lead that institution. You know,
are they not qualified people?
I don't think they. You had the answers yourself.
It was quite sad, man, watching those interviews and people laughing.
You understand? Because these institutions essentially were used to really extend patronage.
Yes.
And therefore stifling young people in the country.
Yes.
And therefore it creates those challenges. And I think we must not think graduates that are unemployed are lazy people. It's just that they are in an environment and in a system or in a country where there are no measures in place that are put to support them, to support their ideas.
Do you not think universities are meant to play that role? So you're studying, you spoke about an entrepreneurship model. Why is it, I'm sorry, these questions are actually not really for you, but since we're here, we can have the chat. Why are the tertiary institutions struggling to train the students to say, look, we know the environment is hostile. We know that if you aren't on a scholarship somewhere, if you don't have a job waiting for you somewhere, you're going to struggle. So we're with you for 3 years, for 4 years, for 5 years. Let's teach you how to put together a business plan. Let's show you where funding is available. Maybe even around the world. Maybe there's no opportunities in what you're doing here. Go there. Why are universities failing in this regard? Or do you think it's meant to be someone else's responsibility? Because ufundile, we've given you your certificate. Maybe your fees have been paid. But you're still like, but I'm not equipped. How can't you, Baba? What have you been doing these 12 years plus 4 years?
I don't think universities are failing. You know, I think there are programs within the universities that should speak to what you have spoken about.
Yeah.
But like I said, I think when I speak about the environment, it's essentially that, it's do we have corporates that are willing to have these work integrated learning environments,
Okay.
where our students will be able to go, and while they are still in their final years of tertiary, where they can be exposed to this corporate environment.
A lot of our graduates actually don't get practical training.
They don't get the practical training, right? In fact, we are reliant on government. There's not really much where
my learnership with
learnership with stipends. And what's sad about those is that you are in that system for a year or 2 years, I think. I think it's 24 months now of a stipend, and then after 24 months, it kicks you out.
They say you're ready, Baba.
You are ready, but now when you start applying, there are no jobs available.
Yes.
You are not, because even with that 2 years experience, I say no, it's not adequate experience. It's not enough, So those are the challenges that young people are facing, especially graduates.
Yeah.
Because I don't think the environment is conducive enough for graduates. I don't think we've got enough institutions that are there to support the graduates. That's why I had to mention the NYDA Institute, because they are responsible for ensuring that we are able to give young entrepreneurs chances of success and be able to provide the necessary support.
Yeah.
But I mean, what we have seen and what has been exposed in the previous interviews is that these institutions are used for patronage, and therefore they do not necessarily fulfilling their mandate, which is supporting young people. I mean, if a person has been leading NYDA as a board and can't really state 3 companies that they successfully funded,
sure,
that should make us all really jaw drop, because it means essentially people there are don't know what they are doing.
Yes.
There's probably a mission adrift of some sort with that institution, and I like these public interviews because we really get to expose this sort of environments.
We appreciate the transparency.
Yes, but we hope that there would be a deliberate effort to ensure that we repurpose this or reposition these institutions so that they then start speaking to young people. And not only young people in universities, but also young people in the townships, who could not have access to the university spaces.
Yes.
But they're in the township. They've got ideas.
Yes.
And all they need is funding and opportunities. And I think that's what we should probably, as young people, try and emphasize on with government.
As we close off, we have a lot of professional students who are scared of leaving the university space.
Yeah.
Are you planning to be a professional student and be an SRC for 20 years?
No, absolutely not.
You're studying an LLB, so what's life for you after Unisa, SRC? Are you looking to get into politics, into the legal space or somewhere else?
No, look, I'm in my 3rd year of my LLB, so hopefully we really focus and we graduate.
Yes.
As the time that we have set for ourselves.
Sure.
And go and really utilize these qualifications. I don't see myself as a politician.
You don't?
No. I think, with do you even call SRC people politicians? Because I think we are activists. I call myself a student activist. So wherever we are needed to be activists, I think we can still be activists in those spaces.
Even in corporate?
Even in corporate, you can still be an activist. In the legal fraternity, you can still be an activist.
There's a lot of work that needs to be done there.
Yes, there's a lot of work there. I mean, we've got a lot of legal activists, by the way, that we are really inspired by. So I don't necessarily see myself in politics.
Okay.
But one would like to remain an activist, and ensuring that where there is a need and where we can play a role in assisting a black child, we should be able to intervene. I think each and every South African can be an active participant in this democracy, positively so, we can really have a prosperous country, and a country in which we all ideally would like to live in. And therefore, we want to encourage people to participate,
Yeah.
That's why when there are even elections, young people must start understanding what it means to participate in a democracy, because of the result. If you don't vote, the results of it are really dire.
Yes.
And we're going to see it, I mean, especially with this GNU arrangement.
Yeah.
That if we don't play a role,
Sure.
it comes back and backfires on us, because we can't just rely on politicians.
Ntwana yase eMamelodi nase Cullinan. Any closing words, specifically just to close off on Unisa as an institution? And I don't know if you just want to summarize some of the things that were very important to you that you raised through the conversation.
Look, for me, it's really the matter of student debt. I think we want to encourage people, members of the public of South Africa, but also globally, to donate to our student debt campaign that we're running.
As a country or as a university?
As a country.
Okay.
That we are running. The one that we are also running with in the university.
Yeah.
I think, like we said, we've got over 1 billion in student debt. And for us, it is really heartbreaking that a student can study for over 4 years. And when they have to graduate and exit the system, they really can't, because of the accumulated tuition that they have, and the results are not nice, because it really pushes our young people into depression.
Yes.
And of course, we know the consequences of the
substances,
absolutely,
crime
and
violating each other, etc.
Yes. So we believe that once you give a student that certificate of hope, you really create a chance of that student going to change their lives. But also, we are coming from families where they are child-headed households.
Yes.
Some of us are the first ones to go to the universities. Some of us will only be the only breadwinners in our families. And therefore, assisting a student graduate will really go a long way, because we understand that under normal circumstances, a black person who's a breadwinner probably supports about 15 people, with one salary. And therefore, we appreciate that, and we want to really make this call. That's why we really take personal offense when people want to discredit our hard work as students. But we also we really want to encourage a business sector to come on board to assist in fighting the student debt that we have as a country, but also as a University of South Africa.
Nkosinathi, Mabilane, thank you so much for joining me, bro. Looking forward to, number one, seeing how this debt bill is going to play out. And I hope that more and more of us can come together and find innovative ways. Number one, to sort out the student debt, free education, but more importantly, to find innovative ways to educate and empower our people so that they can become positive contributors. No, thank you. Thank you for having us. It's truly appreciated. Thank you, brother. Thank you.